Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we are doing the Canelo Sweepstakes, as we are going to look at Canelo Alvarez and his options for his next fight in May, now that the Benavidez and Andrade fight is over with. Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. So, Canelo is coming into this one, you know, coming off the victory over Jermell Charlo, as he retained his undisputed title. Maybe not the best year, you know, for Canelo, beating John Ryder and Charlo, both decisively, both one-sided fights, but, you know, didn't get a knockout, and, you know, he was bouncing back off of a year where, you know, he got his rubber match victory over Triple G, but that was kind of in unimpressive fashion, maybe. I mean, he dominated the action up until Triple G closed the fight strong, but, you know, I think people wanted a knockout and he didn't deliver. And then, you know, the prelude to that was a loss to Dimitri Bivol. That kind of overshadowed everything about the Triple G third fight. So, you know, Canelo, not his best year, obviously, but he's still considered to be one of the best in the world. And he still dominated his two legitimate opponents that he took on this year. So Canelo is still fighting at a very high level. But, you know, we're looking at the sweepstakes now of what he could do next. And I think there's 5 realistic options. And I'm going to first list them off 1 to 5 in terms of what I think he should do next. I believe Canelo should fight David Benavidez next. And my plan for the Benavidez fight would be for Canelo to fight Benavidez in May and then have the rematch in September or whenever he wants in the second half of the year, depending on how it goes. It sets it up, if he were to lose, he can get right back in there with Benavidez, you know. But I understand what Canelo's doing, trying to have a setup fight to hype the fight. But I think right now they have about 5-6 months to hype the fight. Actually, I have 5 months to hype this fight, which is a long time, and it's a fight that everybody wants to see. It really doesn't require much hype. You just got to sign it and get it done. But, you know, Canelo, to me, this is what he should do next, for sure. Now, if I had to choose a second option, I think the next best option would be a fight with Jesus, it's tough to say 1 to 5 realistically who I think he should fight. Because the next, if he doesn't fight David, I'm looking at it like you gotta fight somebody before David. So who is that somebody? Who deserves it more than anybody? Terrence Crawford probably deserves it more than anybody, but Crawford probably has to deal with Errol Spence. But if there was another fighter I'd want to see him fight in a big mega showdown, it would be Bud next. You know, I think that fight would sell a lot. It'd really be big, and it'd be a good matchup. Now, the third option would be a rematch with Dimitri Bivol. You know, that's who I would want to see him fight next, or who I think he should fight next, because Bivol, that rematch is huge. You know, so, you know, it does a lot for both men. And I really think Canelo should entertain it to happen at 168. Why not? That would really, really turn a lot of heads if he got Bivol back in the ring, got him to come down to 168, and were to be able to defeat him. And to be honest, if Bivol, after being a career light heavyweight, were to come down to 168, dropping 7 pounds, I think Canelo beats him. I would pick Canelo to beat him. So that would be my third option. Fourth, it would be Jaime Munguia if he beats if he beats John Ryder. I think he will have earned it if he beats John Ryder. And because of the all-Mexican showdown, I would like to see that. And 5th would be Charlo. That'd be the one that I'd like to see, 5th, out of the 5 probable options. I think Charlo would be 5th in terms of what I'd like to see, because I just don't, Charlo is a name, but I just don't see right now, I don't think Charlo's really earned it, with Canelo. And so that's why out of these 5, he would be number 5 for me. Now, based on what it looks like, what are the realistic 5-1, number 5 to number 1 of possibilities that I think are gonna happen next? So sadly, I really do believe he prefers a setup to fight Benavidez. So setup in May, fight Benavidez in September. Now, so number 5 for me in terms of realistic out of those 5 options is Dimitri Bivol. I really think Canelo's taking Bivol off the board. I really do. But that still gets talked about. I still think it stings Canelo that he lost. And I still believe he's going to entertain talking to Bivol and trying to set up a fight with him. But I think to fight Bivol before Benavidez, it's high risk, high reward. But it's a big risk to take when you're coming off of a loss. Unless he were to bring him down to 168. But Bivol is a well-conditioned fighter, and he's not a big dude at 175. So Bivol might be able to do it and be super competitive. And again, Canelo's taking a high risk, but it's also a high reward. But I don't think he's going to take that high of a risk building up to Benavidez. I just don't see it. So for me, Bivol's the number 5 option for Canelo. Number 4, sadly, for me, is David Benavidez. I think Canelo wants to set up to fight Benavidez in September. I don't think he wants to consider him for May. And, I get it to an extent, to hype the fight for a longer amount of time and to really get ready for it. But I still think he should fight him in May, but I don't think he's going to, and I think he's going to set up to fight him in September. But I do think Benavidez has a better chance of landing the fight in May than Bivol does. Number 3 is Terrence Bud Crawford. I love Bud. I would love to see this fight just because Bud is a special fighter. But I do think the fight would be realistic if Bud didn't have a mandatory rematch clause with Errol Spence. And that's Spence's rematch clause, not Crawford. So Spence, if Crawford were to up and take Canelo, he probably gets sued by Spence. And why go through all that? Just fight him again and beat him again. I do think there's an outside possibility that Errol Spence says, fuck it, it's too much, but I don't think he's going to do that. He's already said he wants the rematch. He's already, invoked the rematch clause, and now the fight just needs to happen. So we'll see. I'm predicting, but I think he's an outside chance, but I do think Canelo, because of the size difference, if the fight was makeable, I think he would take this fight ahead of Benavidez just for the hype of the fight. So I do think he's the 3rd option. The 2nd option, though, I think is Jaime Munguia. And he could fastly move into the 1st option. He's very close with the guy who I think is going to get the fight. But I really believe if Munguia, it depends on how he looks against John Ryder and also how much time he would need to get prepared. If he looks good against John Ryder at the end of January and beats him convincingly in any form or fashion, I think his chances of getting Canelo in May are huge. But that also only leaves him 3 months to get ready for a Canelo showdown. Munguia he might take the Canelo fight no matter what. He might just say, hey, fuck it, go ahead. But Canelo has to be realistic and look at it like, especially if it's a dogfight for Munguia, which I think it's going to be. I don't think he's going to have an easy time against John Ryder. And if that's the case, I think Canelo should really consider not fighting him. You know, just fighting, fighting somebody else. But I really do think Munguia's got a chance if he knocks out Ryder or beats him convincingly, or maybe even if he beats him at all, because Canelo's going to look at Munguia as a softer touch. But I still think, number one, right now the front runner is Charlo, because he's got a bigger name than Munguia, and he's undefeated, and he also, the angle of him beating Charlo's brother really kind of stands out. And I think Charlo, in my opinion, might even be more of a softer touch than maybe even Munguia, because Munguia is going to want to try to fight with Canelo. Now, is it going to work? I don't think so. But I just think just to hand him his first defeat, hand Charlo his first defeat, and to shut his mouth, I think Canelo is leaning towards that fight right now. But it could all change. And it could be Munguia, But I really believe Canelo's going to get the ball rolling and start expressing his interest against whoever it is. And it might be too late to build it by the end of January, unless he already signs it in advance. But that's rolling a big dice on Munguia to score the victory over Ryder. So a lot of moving pieces. It could be any one of these guys, but I really think it's probably going to be Charlo and then Benavidez, in September. But the next few weeks, whatever news comes out could change all that. And I'm not going to be really talking about Canelo again until we discuss his year-end video. So hopefully we got some more news by that point and we see what's going to go down. But that's it. That's what I got. That's my Canelo Sweepstakes video, as we see what Canelo's options are for his next fight, which is likely going to take place in early May. And we'll see who it's going to be against. But that's it. That's what I got. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.